Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a really fascinating concept, one that promises to unlock purpose, maybe even longevity, in a world that often feels, well, way too fast.
Yeah, definitely overwhelming sometimes.
Exactly. We're talking about Ikigai, and we're drawing specifically from the fantastic book, Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life by Héctor García and Francesc Miralles.
Great bird.
It is. Our goal here is to really pull out the most important nuggets from a deep look at this book, giving you the core ideas without, all the fluff.
That's right. And I think in this age of burnout and constant distraction, Ikigai offers something genuinely calming. But it's also powerful. It's that reason to get up in the morning idea. And the book itself, it's this really interesting mix. It blends science, some self-help elements, and even a bit of ancient wisdom. It weaves it all together into a guide for living with intention, with joy.
So our mission for this deep dive, let's unpack that core concept. We'll look at how it actually works in the real world and maybe uncover some surprising facts along the way.
Yeah.
Things that can help you, the listener, get a quick handle on living with more purpose. Okay.
Good job.
Okay, let's get right into it. Let's start with the word itself. Ikigai. It's Japanese, spelled lurekur.
Yeah.
And it translates roughly to a reason for being, or maybe the value in living. It's deeper than just, your job or a hobby.
Definitely. It's about what makes life feel genuinely worthwhile. And lots of people might know that four-circle Venn diagram.
Right, the visual.
Yeah, the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. It's a helpful starting point for sure. But the book, importantly, goes way beyond that theory. It really dives into let's say, the messy, beautiful reality of how people actually live their Ikigai. It's about embodiment, not just a diagram.
That's such a key distinction. And a lot of that real-life stuff the book shows comes from Okinawa, Japan, which is just fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
The authors really explored this famous blue zone where people often live past 100, and they do it with amazing vitality. They even did field work in Ogimi, this tiny village known for having so many centenarians.
And what's really fascinating here, they interviewed dozens of these older folks in Ogimi. The core finding wasn't some rigid, complex routine.
No crazy diets or anything.
No, not at all. It was about simple, mindful habits. Things practiced consistently, day in, day out, over a whole lifetime. Their longevity, their zest for life, it came from this very ingrained, everyday way of living.
So what are these secrets? They sound almost simple.
They are, wonderfully so.
Like they mentioned hara-hachi-buri.
Yeah, that's the idea of eating only until you're about 80% full. No stuffing yourself.
Okay, makes sense. What else?
Staying physically active, but naturally. Through things like gardening, walking, maybe spontaneous dancing, not, hitting the gym for hours.
Right, just built into life.
Exactly. And maintaining really strong social bonds. They have these moai, lifelong support groups, friends who help each other out financially, emotionally. It's deep community.
Wow.
And maybe the biggest thing, pursuing meaningful activities, whatever your age. Tending a garden, crafting something, looking after others in the community. Purpose doesn't retire.
When you list them like that, these routines, they seem so peaceful.
Yeah.
And it's such a stark contrast to, a lot of Western lifestyles, right? High pressure, always on.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it makes you step back and think, what truly matters for long-term well-being? Is it just chasing the next promotion, or is it about finding what sustains you, what genuinely fulfills you day to day? Less about doing more about doing what matters.
Yeah, that really resonates. But the book isn't just feel-good stories from Okinawa, is it? It connects these practices to bigger ideas, academic stuff even. How does it manage that?
It does, and quite effectively. It bridges those personal stories with some pretty powerful psychological theories and philosophies. For instance, it brings in logotherapy.
From Viktor Frankl.
That's the one, emphasizing finding meaning as key to mental health, even when facing huge challenges. Then there's flow theory from Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
Being in the zone.
Exactly. That state of deep focus and engagement where you just lose track of time because you love what you're doing. And it also touches on Morita and Niken therapies. Japanese approach is focused on acceptance and self-reflection, accepting feelings, understanding your impact.
So the authors pull all these threads together. What's the big claim they're making?
Essentially that having a clear purpose, your personal ikigai, it isn't just a nice to have. It genuinely improves mental clarity, builds resilience, can lower anxiety.
And maybe even helps you live longer.
And potentially leads to a longer life, yeah. They back this up with both scientific studies, linking purpose to health outcomes and those real-world observations from places like Okinawa. It frames purpose as a fundamental human need.
Okay, let's talk about the book itself for a second. How was it actually put together? You said it was accessible?
Very much so. It's practical, broken into like really digestible chapters, sprinkled with great quotes, nice illustrations, and summaries of the research that are easy to grasp.
And the tone.
Oh, it's warm, it's conversational. It feels almost like having a wise, gentle mentor guiding you through these ideas. Not preachy at all.
That sounds appealing. Any specific chapters that stand out that show its range?
Yeah, a few good examples. There's one called The Art of Staying Young While Growing Old, focusing on joy, movement, keeping your mind engaged. Then Flow, the joy of being in the zone, which gives practical tips for finding that state.
Okay.
And I personally found Resilience and Wabi Sabi really powerful. That's about embracing imperfection, finding beauty in things that are transient or flawed, letting go of that need for everything to be perfect.
Right. Wabi Sabi, right. That's a great concept. So thinking about its strengths, what really makes Ikigai stand out, for me, it's the simplicity.
I agree.
In a world full of complex life hacks, it just brings you back to basics. Find your purpose, connect with people, move your body, be mindful. Small changes, big impact over time. It feels refreshing.
It really does. And that cross-cultural lens is a huge strength, too.
Yeah.
Blending these deep Japanese traditions with, relevant Western psychology makes it feel both unique and universal.
Yeah.
It's not just another self-help book. It opens a window onto a different way of thinking about life. Slower, maybe more intentional. And those chapters on flow and wabi-sabi, like you mentioned, they're gold for anyone struggling with control or fear of failure. They offer a path to acceptance.
Okay, so it's insightful, it's simple, it's cross-cultural. But we should probably touch on nuances, maybe potential limitations too. For someone looking for really deep scientific dives or like super detailed action plans,
Right.
it might feel a little, lightweight. Some ideas get repeated, and the science, while it's there, isn't like a dense academic paper.
That's a fair point. And it connects to something else, maybe the slight risk of romanticizing life in Okinawa. It can seem a bit idealized.
Right, like how does this apply if I'm stressed in a city, dealing with family pressures, money worries? It's not always easy to just adopt that rural lifestyle.
Exactly. And the book doesn't fully bridge that gap for every single reader's context, but I don't see that as a major flaw. It's more about understanding what the book is. It's inspirational, it provides principles.
Not necessarily a step-by-step manual for every situation.
Precisely. It puts the onus on you, the reader, to think.
Okay.
How do I translate these timeless ideas, community, purpose, flow, acceptance into my life right here, right now? It sparks the thinking rather than just giving instructions.
That makes sense. So it's more inspiration than instruction, but powerfully so.
I think that's a good way to put it.
So boiling it down, Ikigai, the book and the concept, it's really not about chasing like external success or nonstop productivity or achieving perfection. It's more profound. It's about staying connected to what genuinely makes your life feel meaningful. Finding joy in the everyday, nurturing connections, living with purpose.
Absolutely. And if we connect that to the bigger picture, the guidance here is pretty timeless. It doesn't matter if you're, say, in your 20s figuring out a career, or maybe in your 60s reinventing your daily sense of purpose post-retirement.
It applies across the board.
I think so. It gives you this simple yet deep framework to ask, what truly energizes me? What matters to me? Regardless of your age or stage in life.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Hopefully you'll walk away from this deep dive with maybe a sense of calm, definitely some curiosity, asking yourself not just, okay, what should I do next? But maybe, what truly brings me joy? What makes me feel alive? What is my reason for getting up in the morning?
Those are the core questions.
Yeah, and just engaging with those questions, really sitting with them, reflecting on them. That process itself is a huge step toward discovering your own Ikigai.